feeling. This place is jumping off hard as it can get. No, we won't ever stop dancing on the edge. We like it dangerous, we like to see you split. Turn up another notch, you ain't seen nothing yet. Let me tell you something, let me tell you something. Let me tell you something, let me tell you something. Right now, 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 right now. Got a real good feeling, got a real good feeling. Like there is lightning deep in my bones. Got a real good feeling, I won't hit no ceiling. I'm going higher than I've ever known. Yeah, I got a real good feeling, I won't hit no ceiling. Like there is lightning deep in my bones. Got a real good feeling, I won't hit no ceiling. I'm going higher than I've ever known. Got a real good feeling. Right now, 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 right now. Oh, I got a real good feeling, got a real good feeling. Like there is lightning deep in my bones. Yeah, I got a real good feeling, I won't hit no ceiling. I'm going higher than I've ever known. Yeah, I got a real good feeling, got a real good feeling. Like there is lightning deep in my bones. Yeah, I got a real good feeling, I won't hit no ceiling. I'm going higher than I've ever known. I got a real good feeling.
Hey guys, what's going on? Jeb here, and in today's video, we are going to be going over some of the major headlines that are coming up in cryptocurrency today, and we're also going to be doing some technical analysis on Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Cardano. Guys, we have a lot that we are going to be jumping into in today's stream. Is everything good, mate?
No.
What's going on?
Oh, okay, now it's good.
Everything is good.
For some reason, on my feed that I have here, everything went black and I couldn't see anything. So
Ooh, well, about to see here.
Looks like everything is good,
think
except
we're
for
good.
my haircut, guys. I am getting a haircut this afternoon. I promise.
Except for my haircut, bro.
Except for my haircut. I'm getting a haircut this afternoon. It's going to be great. Shout out to Corey. He's awesome. Speaking of Corey, he is the man, the myth, the legend, who trims your president and my co-host Tim's beard.
He does.
How you doing, Tim?
I probably need to go see him like next week. I think is my.
Your beard's looking luscious as always.
Yeah, it's coming nice, but you know I'm gotta trim it up a little bit.
If my beard ever looks as good as
those
yours,
of you
I'll be
wondering,
happy.
I have had these crazy like receding hairline since I was 17 years old. I thought I was balding then. I'm not. I don't think I'm balding. You know, I just like wearing hats. They're comfortable. Yeah. So that's not a cover up. You know, recently I've been talking about my sleep patterns, Jeb. Last night I had a freaking fire alarm going off, not because there's a fire, but because the battery was low. And the house that we're renting, they put them in the most obscurely hard places to get to.
Oof.
So it was a rough night for me last night. Did not sleep well, but
Yeah.
yeah.
I will say on that, at my house right now.
And we're also joined by Smack.
Oh yeah, it's really bad. It's really bad. Oh yeah, let me play my lure there. There we go.
There we go.
So it's really bad, guys, because that same thing happened at my house multiple times. So now basically none of the fire alarms in my house work anymore
It's because we're all just so hot. We're
out of anger in the middle of the night.
You just
So we're just angry. Oh, shut up! You know, we tear it up. You know, and then we're like. Never
You went
replaced
full
them.
Smangatana
So
on
now we have like no working fire alarms in our house that we could definitely die.
Smack, I'm scared for you,
Yeah,
man.
so-
First is your teeth, and now you're gonna now something terrible is gonna
I'm just
happen.
gonna
You're not gonna
die
show up to
and-
work
I'm gonna
one
die
day, and
and
we're gonna be
miss it.
like, oh look, a fire truck on the way to work,
Well,
and
I'm
then he's
moving.
just not gonna be here.
I'm moving.
You're moving.
so-
Okay, so it's even worse then. The guy that comes next is gonna be the one.
Oh yeah, he'll have to replace them.
Oh my
Oof,
god.
okay.
You see the super chat?
Yeah, you know the deal, Jeb. Show those pants. You don't want me to today. I'm not
my
going to tell
gosh.
you why. But
Oh my gosh.
we have a lot to get into in today's stream. Thank you very much for the $5 donation. Maxwell Steele, guys. It's going to be a good stream. I'm looking forward to it. If you are, make sure to smash that like button. We're going to be doing a little bit differently. We're going to be running the stream a little bit differently today. We're going to quickly go over some news, then we're going to dive into quite a bit of technical analysis on the big three, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Cardano, and I'm going to be trying to find some trade setups for you guys. If I find them, then you will see them, but if I don't, then you will at least get some good TA. So let's go ahead and do it. The first news story that we have to talk about here is not necessarily a great one, but I actually think could be a good one in the long run. Headline reads as this: the Bitcoin bloodbath gets bloodier as net loss hits $3.5 billion, but third quarter remains promising. Bitcoin's net loss for the first time last year has for the first time since last year reached an all-time low. The net unrealized loss hit $3.5 billion last week, highlighting the severity of the current downtrend. I'm not calling it a bear market. We have not confirmed a bear market. As observed by a Bitcoin observer, the new record beats that of 2020, again implying that this year's bloodbath is more intense than the previous years. And yes, we definitely are having a major correction on Bitcoin. Here's why I think that is a very good thing. Number one, if you want to make money in crypto, you have to buy low. But also, number two, there's always going to be major corrective movements that happen in markets, and it is in our best interest to utilize these to improve ourselves as traders and investors and learn about how we can better operate in these markets through conditions like this. So if you look at everything as an opportunity, then you will see this as an opportunity, one, to buy, and two, to improve. So yes, we have seen a major loss on Bitcoin, and yes, a lot of people are down, but if you hodl, you will be very, very thankful that you did. Let me tell you a story really quickly before we move on to the next article. I know someone, actually, I think I told this story on stream, so I'm just going to reiterate it quickly. I know someone who has known about Bitcoin since it was $1. $1, and they still haven't bought. And they're thinking about buying it right now. You know, I don't want you to be that person that could have bought it and could be worth so much money and you didn't because you got worried about a small loss. So that is just something that I want to remind you guys of. So the next thing that we're going to talk about here briefly is a bank in Mexico. In fact, it's one of the largest banks in Mexico. It's called Banco Azteca, and the CEO of that bank, Salinas, I think his name is pronounced Salinas. I am terrible with pronunciation, but I will go ahead and read this. He wanted for his bank in Mexico to start using Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies and offering products around them. And unfortunately, the government of Mexico has come out and said, nope, we're not going to allow that. So there's the headline for you. You guys can read the rest of that on your own. It's not much there that you need to be concerned. There's not many details there that we need to go into other than the fact that Bitcoin was probably going to see a major adoption story in Mexico, and now it's not. But those two things might be bearish news stories, but we do have another very bullish news story coming up here in just a second. But before we do that, Tim, what are we seeing in chat? Does anybody have any questions on that? Any super chats?
I see people talking about beards a lot.
Beards.
You know, people talking about bear market. You know, people think if you just zoom out, we are in a bear market. You know, gets said quite frequently. Let me look at anything else. Someone said I bought $5 worth in 2010.
Ooh.
So did you buy five? What was the price back in 2010?
It was measured in pennies.
Oh, okay.
Depending on the time in 2010.
Smooth brain Chris doesn't sound that smooth brain then.
Yeah, smooth brain Chris. I think you have a lot of wrinkles.
He didn't
on your
say
brain.
that he held it.
I would say that's the good question.
That's the good question. Did he
sold
hold
it
it
at $10?
Did you?
Like,
Did you hold it?
Let's go.
Is a great.
That is the good question.
Made $100.
How many wrinkles are on his brain will be determined by how long he held. And the same thing is true for all of us. The longer we hold, the more wrinkly our brains will be.
I think I'm good. Before we move on to answering this question, because it seems like there's a lot of people in chat kind of asking that question. I do see a lot of new people in chat. So if you guys are new and this is your first time tuning in the show, welcome. Thank you so much for being here. But someone did ask, how can we not be in a bear market if everything in crypto dumps? So pretty much I think they're asking you, when you zoom out, you're looking at this downtrend. Mm-hmm. They're saying things dump. How can that not be a bear market? Yeah,
so the question is, where do we define Bitcoin bull markets and bear markets? The way that I look at the market is based on a 100-year-old theory of technical analysis called Dow theory. It goes back to the Dow Jones Industrial Averages and Rail Averages that launched in the very late 19th century. And those averages, many investors traded all the way up until now. The DJI, the Dow Jones Industrial Average, is still one of the most popular averages in the world. One of the core tenets of the Dow theory of markets are called the trends. There's three types of trends. There's a primary trend, there's a secondary trend, and there's a tertiary trend. The primary trends are our bull and our bear markets. Interrupting those bull and bear markets are secondary trends that go in the opposite direction of the primary trends. So if you're in a primary uptrend, that being a bull market over the course of many years, and then you have that interrupted, then that starts off as a secondary trend. The question is, how long do you go into a small correction before you start calling it a bear market? What I normally do to look for whether or not we've entered a bear market is look at a plethora of different technical indicators, one of them being not just technical indicators, but also fundamental indicators. We look at adoption, we look at news, we look at fear and greed, we look at market sentiment, we look at mass psychology, we look at a ton of different things, and we have to come to that conclusion on our own. But what I also look at is the chart, and I look at higher highs and higher lows, and right now, we have only been in a downtrend for 2 months. That, to me, does not constitute a bear market. If we went into a downtrend and started breaking well below $25,000, $28,000, $30,000 and sentiment started going all over the place and dropping very, very, very much worse than it already is, we might start calling it a bear market. But right now, we're not seeing many of the classic signs that indicate a bear market. We're still seeing a lot of institutions come into the space. We're still seeing a lot of new people come into the space. It's slowed down, but based on the fact that we were overdue for a major corrective movement, this just looks like the corrective movement that we had coming after 8 to 10 months of rally. Tim, I want to hear your opinion on that, and I'm sure they do too. What do you think that we're in a bear market? This is a debate that I think we ought to at least talk about, because this is popular right now.
You look at a lot of different indicators. Here is the thing. I believe that the reason we're not in a bear market is because there's many different things that equal a bear market. And again, this is not Tim saying this. This is Tim reading experts talking about what it takes to qualify a bear market. So if you do nothing but look at the charts and look at the prices, then yes, you would say, all right, we are looking like we're in a bear market. However, historically, we also in a bear market do not see a bunch of new wallets being opened up. That is something we are seeing happen in Bitcoin. That is something we're seeing throughout the entire crypto market. We're seeing an inflow of new wallets being opened, in which case that means that while the price was descending, it does mean the interest in... I think the reason the price descended so quickly was because it rose too quickly.
Yes.
Obviously, it rose quickly because of Elon and crashed heavily because of Elon. But that doesn't mean that the interest in crypto and what crypto is doing is not still moving in an upward motion in a bull market. So that is my personal belief. But again, that's not because I came up with that concept of being this historical expert. That is me reading and listening to those way wiser than me and saying, all right, listen, this is the reason why we should not be fudding out and freaking out and selling everything and saying, oh, we hit the top, we're in for a doom and gloom couple of months. I think that we are still in a bull run. It just has a lot of confusion in it.
Yeah, and whether we're in a bull market or a bear market or an uptrend or a downtrend or not, what really matters is that we need to figure out what is going to happen over the next 3 to 6 months. That's what we're trying to ascertain. If we come to the conclusion that over the next 6 months it's generally going to trend in the upside, in the upward direction, what does it matter what we call it? It's a bit of pedantics, if you ask me. I think it's important, but we also don't want to get so caught up in this debate between bull or bear market that we miss the point, which is we want to be investing for the long term so that we can reap those rewards. Smay, I know that this is something that you have an opinion on, or I think you do. Would you like to tell the audience what you think about whether or not we're in a bull market or a bear market?
I mean, are you sure that you want to hear my opinion?
No, what's your opinion?
Yeah.
Disagree. Honestly, I think I couldn't tell you because I'm, to be honest, guys, I'm not super intelligent. But what I will say is,
what?
No, listen. Let me finish my sentence. I think we're probably approaching a bear market, but
Approaching a bear market.
I could even argue, and I wouldn't fight back if you said, yeah, we are in a bear market. But at the same time, I don't know enough to have a solid opinion. So,
okay,
there you go.
Cool. Someone said, David said, Tim is the most swole guy in crypto.
I have not researched every single person in crypto. I might be the most swole person that I've seen in crypto, but that's not necessarily too many people.
Tim literally, whenever he goes home, because we're roommates for the time being, he literally just eats protein powder like it's popcorn. It's crazy.
That'd be nice, yeah.
Yeah, it's great. Anyway, guys, we have a couple more articles here that we want to run into. I'm not even going to bring this one up on screen, but I do want to pose it, and I also want to hear what both of you guys think about this. Coinbase is announcing that they are going to be launching something like a cryptocurrency app store where different DeFi projects and third-party developers will be able to build projects on top of this. Something similar to the iStore. I'm not an Apple guy. What's it called? The App Store. Thank you very much. Google Play, etc. Coinbase is also talking about how they want to move from just kind of regional work that they're doing right now. They're not working completely globally. They want to become a global company that services people all around the world. This is an interesting story because it shows us and highlights to us just how much institutional development is still going on behind the scenes, even when the price action might not be reflecting it. So, Tim, I want to hear your opinion. Where do you think Coinbase fits in the narrative of the growth of Bitcoin and cryptocurrency? What part do you think it plays in the future of crypto?
Well, I mean, being the largest exchange, you obviously have to then, give it the automatic. It has a massive role in crypto in the future of Bitcoin, Ethereum, Cardano, all the big coins. However, I don't know. This is something that is for sure outside of my knowledge of knowing exactly what's going to happen with Coinbase. But I do know, like I said, from what I have seen, consistently when Coinbase has something big happen, we see some boost in the market. Yep. That news from Japan, I think one of the things that we talked about on the stream, but we have not talked about a lot necessarily, and is one of the things, I'm not saying it's the only thing, is one of the things that are moving our price action back up as we push back towards 40,000, is the Japan news that Coinbase will now be going into Japan. So, do I know the full details? I know the full extent of how much Coinbase is going to flex the price? No, I do not. But I do know that being the largest exchange, anytime Coinbase makes a move, that's not something we can just ignore and not take into consideration. Yeah,
no, guys, remember when we saw the IPO on Coinbase, that was the day that we hit all-time high on Bitcoin back in, I think it was March, and $65,000. Coinbase is a big deal, and it's not something that you want to ignore when they're making moves. Our final article here comes out of a senator named Cynthia Loomis, and she's talking about backing United States retirement plans with Bitcoin and encouraging people to start investing in Bitcoin in their retirement plans. This is really interesting because it comes from a senator on Capitol Hill who represents the people and the United States government at once, and this is a big adoption story. It's another one of these events where a major power player is talking bullish things about Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. Now, of course, we've talked on this show many times about how we don't want to hero worship, but it is very interesting when we see very powerful people that have a lot of experience and a lot of connections standing behind Bitcoin. It goes back to that old saying, first they laugh at you, then they try to stop you, then they join you, right? That's what we're seeing happen right now, is now entire countries are starting to join us. Tim, do you have any thoughts on this?
No, other than the fact that, again, we continue to see it's kind of goes back and forth. We see something come out that says the government is, kind of against crypto, and then we see something come out that they're pro. We are in a massive movement right now of undecision, and actually, in reality, undecision. What's the
indecision?
Indecision. Okay, that's one letter off. We're in a process of indecision, which I think indecision is actually good for crypto long term. I think that indecision means that, hey, we still have to educate ourselves, and we're learning. That's what is really cool about what's happening in the U.S. government. Is a lot of people were afraid that the U.S. government was going to come out and ban or create crazy restrictions. What they actually did, they came out pretty much saying, hey, we don't know what we're talking about, so we're going to go do our homework, and we'll come back to you when we know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
And we see a massive amount of there's a whole section of the U.S. government now, even in Mexico. I know that news came out that Mexico is now not going to allow that bank to have Bitcoin services, but there's a massive movement in Mexico's government, and I think governments all over the world that are pro crypto. And so this indecision happening right now in governments, I think, is actually good for the long term, because what it is it's saying, hey, we don't know what we're talking about, let's go learn.
Yeah, well, it goes back to that idea of any controversy is good controversy, any publicity is good publicity, whether they're bashing it or attacking it or supporting it or legislating it or regulating it. We are seeing a ton of conversation going on in the cryptocurrency space. And the reason I say this is because I don't want people getting freaked out just because the price is being a little bit boring. With that said, we're going to go ahead and move on to some technical analysis on Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Cardano, starting off with Bitcoin. But if you guys are enjoying today's stream, make sure to smash that like button. Let's see if we can't get to 500 likes in the next couple of minutes. There's over 1,500 people watching now, and I really appreciate every single one of you taking the valuable time out of your day to come and spend coffee and crypto with us. We're very appreciative and very humbled by that. So we're going to go ahead and jump on to the chart. Let's go ahead and jump on to Bitcoin. Guys, on Bitcoin yesterday, Tim and I were both talking about how Bitcoin found itself in a rising wedge. We saw Bitcoin trending to the upside with a level of resistance here based on lows set back on the 24th of June, set here on the, a low set on the 24th of June, a high set on the 28th of June, and a high set on the 29th of June. We also saw support levels coming in right here here with bottoms set on the 26th of June, the 27th of June, and the 28th of June. This rising wedge on Bitcoin's hourly chart finally broke bearish yesterday, as we expected it would. We saw that Bitcoin was overextended on its TD sequential. You saw right here that we had a 9 flash at 900 hours on Bitcoin yesterday on the 29th. We also saw that there was a bearish MACD cross occurring, and we saw that there was bearish RSI divergence down here on the hourly chart. All of this indicated to us that we were going to see a short-term correction on Bitcoin. But we also talked about in yesterday's video how we thought that there would be a short-term correction followed by a support touch and a bounce. Yeah. And I think that's what we're seeing right now. As Bitcoin rejected from that $36,500 region, we have started to pull back down to strong support sitting down here at $34,000, which I personally believe is going to be difficult for Bitcoin to break through. Let me show you why. If we look here, we will see that there is strong support in a zone between $33,500 and $34,500. Our top zone, $34,500, is set by lows here on the 12th of June, set by multiple lows over here in the very end of May, and set by certain lows over here in mid-May. We also saw other lows set here on the 19th of June, and we also saw 2 highs set in this region on the 23rd and the 24th of June, respectively. As for $33,500, we had a low set here on the 29th of March, a low set here on the 20th of June, and we also saw a low set over here on the 21st of May. Generally speaking, guys, support and resistance levels are never levels. They are more akin to zones. You're much more likely to understand technical analysis and support and resistance better if you look at every level more like a zone. I'm going to draw my level at a slightly different place than Tim is, than you are, than Smay is, than anyone is, and because of that, there's always going to be a little bit of uncertainty. That's why I tend to find that support zones and resistance zones seem to be quite a bit more useful, and in this case, we're finding one right below where we are right now. We expected yesterday that from this rising wedge, we would probably break to the downside between 5 to 8, maybe 10%, and in there is exactly where we're finding that support, right in that $34,000 region. I'm going to go ahead and draw a box right here, a rectangle, to show you guys this support zone. I personally think that Bitcoin is going to continue to the downside slightly today. It's going to attempt to find a bottom in here in this $34,000 zone, and then I think we're going to bounce and rally from there. The reason that I think we're going to bounce has to do with multiple things. Number one, we did not see a lot of volume on this downtrend. This was not a very convincing downtrend. Exactly. And by the way, neither was this uptrend very convincing. Neither of them were. And this is why I'm saying we're not in a bear market. We're in sideways movement right now. We're in what I might call an accumulation phase. People argue whether it's accumulation or distribution. The point is it's sideways movement. And it has conclusively stated, by the way the price is moving, that it is sideways movement, which means the volatility is going to be low and movements are not going to be very convincing. So we shouldn't jump to conclusions about being in a bear market when we're actually trading sideways. There is a difference there. That's one of the big reasons why I'm not calling it a bear market. Anyway, we also look like we're going to have a bullish MACD cross on Bitcoin in the next 5 to 6 hours, probably around, it's Eastern time where I'm sitting right now, probably around 3 to 4 o'clock this afternoon. If things continue the way they are, we will see something of a bullish MACD cross at least before the day's over. That would be a very healthy sign for Bitcoin rallying from here. And also, we saw a 9 flash, a green 9 flash, a bottoming 9 flash on TD sequential at midnight last night. That indicates that we might be somewhere near a bottom. We did have a short-term bounce after that and a reset, but we do want to keep in mind that TD sequential because it is very important. Looking here at our exponential moving average, our 20 EMA, one of the most important EMAs in all of your charting, we'll see that we attempted to hold support on it for several hours last night, and that indicates to me that we're not very bearish, or else we would have been able to break it much easier. This is not a convincing downtrend. It is, however, slightly less convincing than this uptrend. To say that, what I mean by that is that this uptrend rallied us quite a bit farther than this downtrend looks like it will, which is a point in favor of the bulls over the next 7 days or so. Zooming out to the 4-hourly chart, we can also see that right now Bitcoin is sitting above, barely, depending on where you're looking, the 20 exponential moving average, again, on that 4-hourly chart. If we manage to hold that, that's going to be phenomenal, but you also need to keep in mind that there's a bearish MACD cross coming in on Bitcoin right now. I don't know that that bearish MACD cross is going to be strong enough to push Bitcoin below $33,500, but it is possible, and it's something you want to be aware of. Watch out for this bearish MACD cross because it is indicative that we're going to see a little bit more downwards movement before we see more bullish movement to the upside. I can see us going as low as $33,000 over the next 24 hours. Zooming out to the daily chart, we're also seeing a couple of very important things. We saw a green-red-green formation over the last 3 days here, and we actually managed to break above the 20 daily EMA for a time. We didn't stay there for very long, but we did temporarily break above it. The 20 EMA has been downtrending for the last 3 months, and the fact that it's been downtrending for the last 3 months means that it is going to be easier as time goes on for us to get above it and continue to rally. We also saw that the red candlestick today, now it hasn't closed yet, we have to keep this in mind, has not engulfed the green candlestick before it. Whenever you see a red candlestick larger than a green candlestick, that's called a bearish engulfing candlestick. Because the red candlestick is larger than the green candlestick, it generally recommends that you be bearish because it indicates that the bears are stronger than the bulls. You know, green represents bulls, red represents bears. If the red is bigger than the green, then you assume the bears are stronger than the bulls, right? That's typically how you would look at that. So those are the technical features that we're going to look at to lay a foundation of where we think the market is going. I do want to show you what Lux Algo is saying really quickly. By the way, if you haven't already gotten Lux Algo, you are missing out. This indicator is absolutely fantastic. Drop a 1 in chat if you got Lux Algo and you're loving it. I use it in my technical analysis every single day. It's really useful. We actually have a video that I think will make a free preview on CT2A where I teach you guys how to use Lux Algo, and I give you all the information you need on there, but we'll talk about that later. As far as Lux Algo and what it's saying, on the 1 hour chart, we had a sell signal the moment we dropped below the 20 EMA. That's important. We want to keep that in mind. We also want to be looking for a buy signal on Lux Algo and a color change. Remember, guys, color changes are a very important signal on Lux Algo. It's not just these buy and sell signals. Those are valid and very helpful, yes, but we want to be looking for where the color changes. Looking out to the 4 hourly chart, we can see that Lux Algo had a strong buy signal here. It has not reversed yet, so that's indicative that we are probably in a tertiary downtrend to the secondary uptrend. I want to help you guys be able to identify these. This longer-term uptrending movement that we're in is being interrupted. So this interruption so far is a tertiary. That's a third trend to the secondary trend's second trend to the bull market's first trend. So that's how we look at that. You want to keep those trend classifications in mind. So with all of that said, where are we going? That's what's on everyone's mind. You got all the information now. You probably already forgot half of it because of how fast I talk. But here's what I think we're going to do. Then I want to hear Tim's take, and then I also want to break down why I think it's going to do this. I think that Bitcoin is going to penetrate a little bit farther into this $33,500 to $34,500 region. I think it's going to find support between $33,000 and $34,000, probably in the lower part of that zone that we're looking at, and I think it's going to bounce. The reason for that is because we see quite a bit more exuberance in the price right now than we have seen in quite a long time, and we have quite a bit of bullish technical indicators on the 4 hourly chart and the hourly chart indicating that we're probably not in a gigantic downtrend. As far as I'm concerned, I think that we need to be looking right now for a bottom, and then once we have found and confirmed that bottom, we should be looking for a long position. Now, I don't know that we have found the bottom yet, but if we have, now is a fantastic time to enter a long trade because we're sitting right above the 20 EMA on the 4 hourly chart. However, I personally think we still have a little bit of bearish work to do, but I would love to hear Tim's take. Where do you think we're heading next?
That's a great question. I mean, that's interesting that you had that opinion. I'm not 100% certain. Yesterday, what I said, and I have yet to see it break what I said, so therefore I'm kind of holding to it. When I was looking at our little rise we had starting back on, I mean, technically we started back on the 26th of June, but even like we had a drastic little candlestick on the 27th on the hourly chart. That was massive. I predicted that we were going to hit our head on that 36,100, 36,300, somewhere in that range, because where you put that level of resistance is hard. You know, if those of you doing technical analysis, I don't think anyone's chart looks exactly the same. I think mine was 36,130. Yours was 36,000. Or I said 3,600. 36,130. Yours was like 36,300 and something.
Yeah.
As both of us predicted, we broke out of that ascending wedge. We bounced our head off it. We came back down. But what I said was I think that what we're going to do is we're going to come back down to around 34.5.
Yeah.
And what I'm looking at is the bottom, at least on Coinbase, on my chart, says that we, at one point today, we're at 34,430. A little bit below, but ultimately that's where we were kind of looking for to bounce. I mean, you're going to see that happen all the time. You're going to see as you're moving up, that price action is moving up. You're going to hit your head on something, bounce back down to a level of support, go back up, set a new level, because that's what we're doing is we're setting higher highs, lower lows at the moment. Here's when I zoom out, when I go to my daily chart. All right, I mean, you don't even have to go to the daily chart. You go to the 4 hourly chart, whichever you want to do. We have been moving for months now. What is that? Beginning of midway through May, we have been moving between this $40,000 to $30,000 range, and then we kind of have found ourselves that middle point around 35, which is where we're kind of hovering right now at 34.7. We're on the bottom side of it, but I think there's a lot of fundamental analysis, a lot of news, a lot of interest, a lot of people getting involved with Bitcoin that are going to push it to the top half of that. Do I think we're going to push through and destroy the $40,000 mark and push through to 50 and go on back on to all-time highs in the next week or two? No, I don't think so. But I do think that this weekend will see us get back to the top side of this accumulation phase. And if the Wyckoff accumulation phase plays out, this could be our trend as we begin to go back towards all-time highs. And that is why I'm still firmly in the camp of we are still in a bull market, despite the fact that, as people even point out in chat, this is kind of a really boring price action.
It is.
Bitcoin, crypto in general has gotten boring. But that's the reason why we're doing the show like we are, is because if you just tune out because things get boring, you're going to miss out on amazing money-making opportunities.
Yep.
And even when things are boring, I mean, look at the chart. Look at this volatility between 40 and 30,000. There is still money to be made in the market right now.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
So what I am saying is I actually even entered a trade this morning, and I think I'm currently in a little bit of a profit off that. Because I do believe we're going to be jumping up above that 35, getting back over to the 36, and I think breaking through that level of resistance at 36,100, 36,300, and then going a little bit closer to that resistance at 37,800, 37 or 38,000. But that is just my opinion on Bitcoin, and that is what I've kind of put my trade into thinking was.
Yeah. So, guys, that's what I think is going to happen, too, roughly. I think that we're going to continue to the downside just a little bit. Now, Tim thinks that we probably bottomed out. I think that we're going to go down just a little bit farther, but both of us are of the opinion that we're going to go down a little bit more, and then we're probably going to rally back up to that $36,500 region or maybe a little bit higher. As far as longer-term TA is concerned, this is something that I don't know if Tim and I totally agree on, and this is interesting, so we can debate. You think that we're in an accumulation phase right now, which I agree with.
Yeah.
Where do you think, because I want you to reiterate your stance on this, where do you think that Bitcoin will go when it breaks out of that $30,000 to $40,000 range?
Are you talking about, like, new tops?
Where do you think it's going to break bearish out of that $30,000 to $40,000 range, or do you think it's going to break bullish?
I think bullish. I think so. I think last week when I said I think we had a little work to do below 30.
Yep.
What we saw was we got right back down to that 30 mark, and then there was a bunch of news where institutions who had previously said we're going to buy at 24, 25, they actually were like, it actually might not get back down to that level. I'm going to raise that price up.
Yeah.
So could we hit a new low? Absolutely, we could. But I even see the institutions and retail investors kind of pushing that number up of what they're comfortable buying. Now, we are clearly not in a stage where people are comfortable with 40,000 consistently. That's why we bumped our head on 36,300 and came back down. However, I do think this slow thought of where the bottom should be is rising up.
Yes.
I think with everything happening with taking things out of China, and we're having now green energy be the main moving force of the hash rate and the mining, I think that is making institutions that were environmentally conscious be a little bit more bullish on it. I think we're seeing retail investors, the education is still playing out. As much as we would like to think every single person in the world has heard of Bitcoin, they haven't. Not even every single person in the United States has heard of it. And even if they've heard of it, they might have only heard the name. They don't really know anything about it. And they are slowly but surely seeing every person that they come into contact with begin to have an opinion. And as you said earlier, news, even sometimes when it's bad, at least informs people and gets people knowledgeable about things.
Yeah.
And so I do believe the bottom is moving up slowly but surely, and that's why I'm seeing us break bullish out of that 30 to 40,000 range, not bearish.
Yeah, no. What the thing that I am concerned about, because I don't necessarily disagree with Tim, but I am concerned about this because I've seen it happen many times. I will show you on the chart really quickly, and then we're going to move on to Bitcoin and Cardano and Ethereum. But if you look at Bitcoin's history, there have been a couple of times at the end of major downtrends or bear markets, if you want to say it, where Bitcoin seemed to find strong support over the course of a few months, and then it had a major capitulation event. We saw here in 2014 that Bitcoin found strong support here around $300. We triple bottomed on it, in fact, and then we came down and we kept testing it. Notice how we pulled all the way down to $162 in January of 2015 following that. That was a major capitulation event, and then we started trading sideways before going into a major uptrend. The question is, are we in this accumulation phase where we rally out of it, or are we in this accumulation phase where we crash out of it? That's the million-dollar question right now, and that's what everyone wants to know. We all know the market's going to get more interesting at some point. But the question of how it's going to get more interesting is the thing that we are all interested in, because if it gets more interesting by crashing, a lot of people are going to freak out, they're going to crap their pants, and they're going to leave. And we don't want that to happen because you're going to miss out on big gains. We also saw something similar happen in 2018. We traded sideways for so long, we lost so much volatility and price action, we saw another 50% correction and capitulation. A lot of times when you see long-term sideways movement, you see a major capitulation out of it. That's what I'm concerned about here. Now, I'm not saying it's going to happen necessarily. I'm not making that prediction. And one of the reasons I'm not making that prediction is because what characterized most of those events was a massive recurring decrease in volatility, and they just kept hitting their bottoms on that level before they eventually broke it. Right now, there's still a ton of volatility in Bitcoin, and Bitcoin is still able to comfortably come up here and reach $40,000. The question is, how long will that last? Because the longer we stay in this accumulation, I think the more likely we are to have that capitulation event, probably, just so you know, down into the mid-20s. I don't think that that's what's most likely. So I want to be clear on that. But it is a possibility on the table, and we don't want to ignore it because I've seen it happen before. I've been wrecked by it before, and I don't want you guys to do that either. Here is a very good point that Tim made that I'm going to briefly reiterate and tell you just how important it is. He was talking about how that bottom is continually rising. I've been talking for the last 4 years that I've been running this channel about the idea of underlying intrinsic value of a cryptocurrency market. It gradually increases as the fundamentals continue to grow. You don't see that on any chart. It's intangible. You can't measure it, but you can see it in the news. You can see it in the fundamentals. 3 years ago when I was in the space, having anyone in the government of the United States, having anyone in the government of Mexico or El Salvador or Paraguay or Panama or Brazil or Argentina or anywhere was unheard of. It didn't happen. Companies did not put Bitcoin on their balance sheet. A year and a half ago, it was more or less unheard of. Then Tesla came in and changed the game. We are seeing massive strides. So while we might see that capitulation event, if we do, we will almost certainly overextend to the downside and see a massive rally coming out of it. So whether or not we continue trading sideways and rally out of that, or we continue trading sideways, capitulate for 2 months, and then go on a massive bull market, a bull market is coming. A bull market is going to continue, I should say, because we haven't ended it, in my opinion. And I don't want you to miss out on it just because you're worried about us being in a bear market. With all of that said, let's go ahead and read a couple of these super chats.
Let's do some super chats and then move on to Ethereum.
And we will move on to Ethereum and Cardano. Oh, and by the way, guys, make sure to smash that like button if you were enjoying today's stream. The viewership on YouTube has dropped a little bit because, like we said, Bitcoin is pretty boring, so we very much appreciate everyone who tunes in and super chats. Our team is very thankful for your support.
Yep. All right, Zalzan Zabar.
That's a great name.
Is it still worth it to dollar cost average if we hit a bear market for 2 to 4 years and alts lose 60 to 90%?
The best time to dollar cost average isn't a bear market because because during a bear market, the average price of the asset is going down, which means your average entry price on the dollar cost averaging is going down. If you're dollar cost averaging in a bull market, the average asset price is going up, which means you're getting a worse entry. In a bull market, you would much rather not dollar cost average and just buy a lump sum at the beginning because you're going to get a lower average entry price. A bear market is where you should be dollar cost averaging because it means that you're going to be able to find that bottom and bring your average entry price down. So yeah, actually, if we do go into a bear market, that's really when you want to be dollar cost averaging. It's actually much more advantageous for you to dollar cost average in a bear market and buy lump sums in bull markets. Great question. Great question.
Next one we got from Ozzy Todd. He said, "Who let the bears out in chat today? Shout out to Jeb for killing it as per usual."
Thank you.
On Around the Blockchain. Any chance Ben and Blockchain Boys could agree on anything?
Yeah.
Blockchain.
They agree on...
Trying to do an impression.
someone on Around the Blockchain yesterday said that Ben looks like Lucas's father.
Oh my god.
I have a question. Who's Lucas?
He's Blockchain Boy. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Cool guy. Very cool guy. You should go follow him on TikTok at Blockchain Boy. I think that's his handle.
Next one we got from David Breeze. Oh man, I don't even know if I have any thoughts on this. Maybe Smay does. Thoughts on Tom Brady and Giselle partnering with a Bitcoin ETF?
Oh, I know. I have something. I don't care.
Oof.
You know, we actually did talk about this on ATB yesterday, is people are hyping up the ETFs as if it's the holy grail saving grace future of crypto, and it's just not.
It's not.
ETFs are great. We've seen a lot of them. We've seen Canadian ETFs, we've seen Brazilian ETFs, we've seen ETFs on ETFs and on ETFs, depending on where you look. It is not a one-size-fits-all thing. You know, this is a common thing in our culture, Tim.
Yeah.
We see so many people thinking, oh, this one thing will make me happy. This new car, this new house, my girlfriend, my wife, kids, anything will make me happy we take that mindset and we put it in crypto and think, oh, this one thing, this ETF, Coinbase IPO, anything will make us successful, and it just doesn't work that way.
Well, I get that ETF, the one value I had, because I'm not a big fan of ETFs, I think that it just kind of muddies the market, it muddies everything. It does expose people to things.
Yes,
so,
absolutely.
I know the argument for a while when, love it or hate it, you could all agree at least the thing that Dogecoin did was get people interested in crypto and getting their feet wet and researching what's happening there. But equivalently, what you're doing is you're putting your money into an ETF, and it doesn't affect the price whatsoever. So, like, we could have a crazy amount of bullish sentiment about these ETFs, and it doesn't help the price go whatsoever.
It can affect the price.
Indirectly, it does.
Most ETFs aren't necessarily derivatives. I don't think most of the ETFs that we're talking about,
the ones that I have. We've been researching on. Yeah, they're the derivatives.
They are derivatives.
Okay, so maybe I don't know if Tom Brady's getting into
I need to check in on that. But if they are derivatives, then yeah, it's not going to do anything to the price, and it's a waste of volume. But if they're not derivatives, then it will have an impact on the crypto economics of the coin.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, we'll move past that. We'll go to other chats. Spencer Nicholas said, I combine Lux Algo with Market Cipher, and I love it.
There you go. Good deal, guys.
Yeah, that is the way to do it. Mixing these indicators together. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, Smay.
Drop a 1 in chat if you want to hear Smay sing.
Hunjadair says, can you recommend a crypto-friendly bank, preferably one that will accept direct deposit?
Yeah, XRP. No, I'm kidding. I don't.
I don't think that exists yet.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I have an answer to that
I don't
one.
know, truth be told. I'm my own bank on crypto.
I'm sorry about that. Last one from Matt C., the
Matt.
goat of the Super Chat, said, I am not trading this market because there's not a lot of clarity. I am, however, accumulating a bunch of top projects at these levels. I think I'll be very happy in 5 years.
I think you will be also, Matt C. We're very appreciative for your support, and I think that's how we should all be looking at this market. With that said, let's go ahead and look at the market of Ethereum.
What I want to do before we move
You
forward,
ruined my segue.
I know.
Wow.
For everyone who's just joining now, asking where have we been, what have we been talking about, we covered a couple stories early on, just breaking news headlines that are happening today in crypto. Not a massive day in the news, but what we are doing is going through, we just went through Bitcoin, we're about to go through Ethereum and Cardano, looking at the technicals, evaluating is there any daily trade setups that you can make money, because again, the crypto market is pretty boring right now, but that doesn't mean you can't make money, so we want to help you guys be as profitable as possible despite this sideways movement.
Absolutely.
So,
let's do
back
it,
to you,
guys.
Jeff.
In a sideways trading channel is one of the best places to make profit because you have consistent and predictable volatility. That is the holy grail of a trader. Give us a 2 in chat if you're a trader and you know exactly what I'm talking about. Let's help out the people that are new to cryptocurrency understand that, because a lot of people get bored because the news is boring, but really if you're trying to make money trading, you should be excited about movements like this because it's just as easy to long as it is to short. With that said, let's start down here on the hourly chart for Ethereum. This technical analysis isn't going to take as long because Bitcoin and Ethereum are roughly mirroring each other right now. We saw Ethereum go into a large ascending wedge, which, as we talked about in yesterday's stream, broke bearish. We expected that it would, and it did. It pulled down to the support level that I drew in yesterday's stream at $2,072 and hit it almost exactly. We pulled down to $2,085. That support level I found based on technical analysis I did 2 days ago on this bottom over here on the 20th of June, and also on bottoms that we set over here on the 17th of April, 19th of April, and 22nd of April, respectively. This level of $2,070 and change is critical for Ethereum, and I think it might be about to get tested again. Let me show you why. Down here on the hourly chart, we see that we are currently forming a triangle pattern, a symmetrical triangle pattern, and these are typically continuation patterns of the trend that entered into that pattern. We entered the pattern going downwards. We started trading sideways, so we would expect us to trade downwards again. If we do that, we will probably test ourselves again at $2,072, bounce and rally, forming a double bottom right here, and from there, we should go to the upside for the exact same reason that we think Bitcoin will. Remember, guys, Bitcoin and Ethereum and Cardano and all these projects tend to move together. They have very close they're very much correlated is the word I'm looking for. So whenever Bitcoin goes up, which we think it will, we should expect Ethereum to do something similar. That's why technical analysis on Ethereum tends to be a lot easier after you've done TA on Bitcoin. Looking down here on the oscillators, we can also see that there's a bullish MACD cross coming to Ethereum on the 1 hour chart in just a couple of hours. That is a good sign for anyone who is looking for a short-term trade on Ethereum who wants to long the market. Notice something interesting here. We have been converging bullish on MACD ever since about midnight last night, and in that time, Ethereum's been more or less trading sideways. That means that we were overextended to the downside, and we saw that here on the RSI. We were sitting down here around 35. We didn't get massively overextended, but we did see that Ethereum wanted to move to the upside based on those oscillators, and it's something we shouldn't ignore. We can also see that there was a bullish 9 flash on TD sequential last night around midnight. We saw that come in when we hit the bottom at $2,070, and those two factors coalesced to form a new rally that has been pushing us back up to this 2150 region. It is of my opinion, I am of the opinion that we're going to try and hold $2,070. We're probably going to test it again, but I think we will hold it and double bottom on it. Another reason why I believe this is because we have seen massive volume retain itself through the symmetrical triangle pattern. It means that this symmetrical triangle pattern is not operating like you normally would. Normally the volume would drop off quite a bit during a triangle pattern. In this case, it hasn't. Most of the volume that we've seen in the last 7 days on Ethereum is bullish volume. So I think a lot of this volume is of the bulls. We can even see many of these volume candlesticks down here are green. We can also see, however, that we are currently right below the 20 EMA. It's part of the reason why I think we're going to pull to the downside and bounce and rally. I've seen this happen many times, guys, where we break in one direction to feign the breakout, and then we rally in the opposite direction. I think we're going to see the same thing happen on this ascending wedge that we were in. We're going to break bearish out of it and rally to the upside. If we look at Lux Algo here, we can also find that there are going to be some things that we can look at. There was a sell signal right here, and that makes sense. It was definitely a time to be looking to sell, but this is a case where you don't just want to rely on an indicator like Lux Algo. As phenomenal as it is, sometimes it can be too lagging for it to be useful. In this case, on the hourly chart, with how short of a downtrend this is, it's not something that I'm going to use because it tends to be a much more longer term indicator as far as the 1 hourly chart is concerned. Notice how we had a strong buy signal here and here, strong sell signal here. It's very useful, but you also want to take it with a grain of salt and not just listen to it without doing your own thinking. That is never how we want to trade. Moving out to the 4 hourly chart, we're also going to see that we are seeing strong support show up here on the 20 exponential moving average on the 4 hourly chart. I accidentally dropped some text. We see that there's support converging right here around $2,070, and we still have a strong buy signal in effect on Ethereum, which I still think is the one we should be listening to. But I will put out a warning for you guys. There is a bearish MACD cross coming on the 4 hourly chart, so keep that in mind. If we break to the downside, that's the signal that called it, so don't forget about that. Moving out to the daily chart, we're going to see that we are hitting our head right on the 20 daily EMA, and we've been doing so for the last 3 months. This is a very important time in crypto, and I think you all will agree. If we are able to break bullish here, as our daily chart MACD says that we should, and a whole $2,070, then Ethereum will find itself in a very bullish position and be primed for a new rally up to new highs that we haven't seen in a couple of weeks, probably up near $2,600 to $2,800, if not even $3,000. So my prediction on Ethereum is that we're going to see a short-term correction, and then from there, a great trade entry would be somewhere around $2,100 with a tight stop loss. I'm talking very tight, probably around $2,060 at the lowest, and then bet on that long. See if we're able to break above the 20 DEMA and stay above it, and if we are, you're going to be a very happy camper. If we're not, of course, that's what stop losses are for. Tim, what is your opinion? Where do you think we're heading?
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at the charts, as you're talking. First of all, everything you said. There's a couple things you said. I'm going to be completely honest, and I think maybe people in chat are going to be in agreement with me, whatever the word they want to use is. I don't understand what you're saying. Okay. So there are some things that I was like, okay, that one went over my head. I am learning, but I have by no means know anywhere near as much as Jeb knows about technical analysis. But a couple of things. First of all, as you did point out, that is something that I've been noticing a long time. So again, I cannot wait until I've been trading for years and I've seen these charts for years, and I can make very, very good estimates on what has been happening in the past and what the trends have been. But since I have been looking at the charts and since I have been following what has been happening in crypto for the last 7 months, what I have seen repeatedly is we break bearish or bullish out of these movements. So we just broke bearish out of a ascending wedge before we almost immediately after that little break back up in the same direction. I've seen that trend happen several times in this bull. I mean, if people want to call this a bear market, I've seen it happen ever since January. I've seen it happen repeatedly, right? So that's when you say we're heading into a symmetrical triangle pattern. You know, we might break a little bearish out before going bullish. I'm in complete agreement, because that is what we've been seeing happen over and over and over and over and over again in crypto, and specifically in Bitcoin and Ethereum, which is the ones that we look at quite often. I think, we had that level of support right there that we touched. We almost touched it. Didn't quite touch it, but that level of support around 2070 We have a wick down there on the 4-hourly chart that almost touches it, comes back up. I do think that Ethereum, the other thing is when you look at Ethereum over Bitcoin, Ethereum is beginning to gain a little momentum. We obviously had that news break yesterday that for the first time ever in the history of the two projects, Ethereum wallets actually had more active wallets than Bitcoin.
Yeah.
That is pretty big. That's big news for Ethereum, in which, while I agree with the statement that as Bitcoin moves and whatever it does, these coins are following for right now, I do think there will be another point. We have seen it happen before in this cycle, and we're going to see it happen again, where they actually do decouple.
Yeah.
They don't depend on each other, especially with EIP 1559 and the London hard fork coming out. I think Ethereum is about to start doing its own thing.
Yeah, we'll actually have a chart up on my screen right now of Ethereum over Bitcoin, where you guys can see that Ethereum over Bitcoin is up 12%,
Yes.
and Ethereum has been losing value compared to Bitcoin for quite some time. This is a big change because it signals that people might be more confident in number 2 than number 1. So that's kind of what you're saying, is that if we see Ethereum continue to rally like this, could it be that Ethereum is the one that kicks off the next rally, not Bitcoin? It's very possible. It's a $250 billion market. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I wanted to make sure people knew that.
No, that's exactly what I was talking about. It's like literally we are actually seeing Ethereum gain momentum on Bitcoin. And again, that is not to fuel the fires of, oh no, the flippening is going to happen. No, that's not what we're talking about. What we're just talking about is a decoupling of the prices where they don't just follow each other wherever they may go. They actually start to do their own things. The markets become almost individual rather than grouped. The other thing is because Bitcoin even was following a lot of assets. Like we were trading pretty similarly to other assets, and we've seen that kind of a decoupling recently of crypto and other assets like gold and silver and stuff. So I am saying I am bullish on, and we're about to look at Cardano. I'm bullish in the movement of what we're going to see in all three of these: Bitcoin, Ethereum, Cardano. Like I said, I entered trades in all three of them this morning. I'm hoping that pays off. I have patience there. Even if we drop a little, even if Jeb is absolutely right and we drop a little bit below what we've already hit, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with getting out because I'm very certain that we are going to get above that, again, midway line of this accumulation phase and start heading back up bullish. So that's all I have. If you don't have anything else, we can move on to Cardano and wrap out the stream.
Now, real quick, let me just show the gold chart, because we've seen gold go into a massive correction. It's down like 20%. It's down from $1,900 spot price down to $1,760 over the past 2 weeks. Keep in mind, guys, gold and Bitcoin are normally invested in for the exact same reason: inflation hedging. As we're moving towards the end of the pandemic, and a lot of people think, probably wrongly, but they think that the economy is going back to normal, they're not as concerned about inflation. That might be having an impact on Bitcoin's price as well.
Yeah.
With that said, let's go ahead and move on to Cardano. We'll read some super chats and wrap it out.
Well, let's do super chats first, and then we'll jump to Cardano really quickly.
Let's do it.
We got one from SR saying, "Great job, guys. Jeb, what do you think about Bitcoin IRA? Is that something you recommend?"
I don't know if Bitcoin IRA you're referring to an actual service or product called Bitcoin IRA, or if you're just talking about buying Bitcoin through an IRA. If you're just talking about buying Bitcoin through an IRA, go for it. If you're able to use traditional mechanisms, then go for it. I don't know if Bitcoin IRA is the name of a product, so any way that you can buy Bitcoin, put it that way. Especially if you're not buying a derivative and you're buying actual keys.
We got another message from Tom Zoe saying, bought CT2A, he said CTA, but CT2A last week and love it. Everything is laid out clearly. Hoping to use it for swing trading. Will you do a video on how to use/read Glassnode?
Yes, that is something that is something that we actually want to partner with Glassnode in the future.
Yeah.
So if you guys will do us a favor, go tweet at Glassnode and try and get them to answer our emails that we've been sending them. We want to do something with Glassnode, but we also want to make sure that when we're doing something with Glassnode, we're doing it in partnership with them so that we can provide the best quality service to you guys. That is something that should be coming in the future to our product lineup. I can't tell you when. There's nothing in the works right now, but it is a hope of ours.
Yes. Last one, and then we will move to Cardano, and that is from Rick4962. Said, why are Bitcoin ATM machines so high? It says 37,000. I looked on Coinbase, and it was 33,000. Can you explain anything about the upcharge?
Because Bitcoin ATMs are designed for people that don't really know cryptocurrency that well, and they typically have horrible deals and very high transaction fees. They make a lot of money to the people that own them. I would never recommend you use one. Bitcoin ATM proliferation is very interesting. It's actually the number of Bitcoin ATMs in the world has often been used as a measure of adoption. And by the way, that number is skyrocketing. One of the reasons why we love Bitcoin and why we think its adoption is doing well. That being said, they're not always the most accurate, and they're not going to be able to be as trusted as something like Coinbase or another major exchange.
Gotcha.
Yep.
All right, let's move on to Cardano, and we'll wrap out the stream.
Good deal. Let's do it, guys. So Cardano's technical analysis is going to be brief, not because we have anything against Cardano, but because it looks very similar to Bitcoin and Ethereum, and I don't want to beat a dead horse. If we look here on the 4-hourly chart, we'll start on the hourly chart, actually. Cardano was in an uptrend, and just like our other two assets, it corrected from $1.42. That was a major resistance level that we saw play out starting here on the 24th of June, and in that time, we pulled right back down to the exact support level I drew yesterday. This red level down here, I drew yesterday at $1.32, and I had a feeling we were going to pull down here, and we did, and we pulled down here, and right now we're double bottoming. Now, this part is a little bit concerning. Notice how we are pushing very strongly into the support level. I want to see a strong bounce here, even if we don't set a new high, or else, you know, this is a major attack on this support level, and if we don't manage to hold, then obviously we're going to break it, but we want to see a little bit more strength out of the bulls right now on the short-term Cardano price. If not, we're probably going to see a breakout to the downside. We have also just seen that we've broken bearish below the 4-hourly 20 EMA. We have not seen that happen on Ethereum, and to my knowledge, we have not seen that happen fully yet on Bitcoin, but over on Cardano, it is in the middle of occurring. This could indicate further downwards movement on Cardano. Looking at the 4-hourly chart, we can also see that there is a bearish MACD cross coming in. Similar things are happening on Bitcoin and Ethereum, but for other reasons, I think that they're doing a little bit better. We can also see that Cardano, just like the other major movers, is sitting here right below the 20 daily exponential moving average. And if it is able to break that 20 exponential moving average conclusively, if all three of them are, because they're all three positioned right below it, if all three of them are able to confidently break the 20 daily EMA, we are going to be sitting pretty. The question now is, will we? We have a bullish MACD cross on the daily chart for all three of these. We have lots of bullish fundamentals going on behind the scenes. Now all we need is to get the retail on board and to start having more institutions adopting and talking about Bitcoin. We don't need much to knock the dominoes over, because if we do start knocking them over, they're going to be able to perpetuate themselves and gravity will drive us forward. But right now, we're trying to get that first domino knocked over. It's not going to be hard, but we do need a little bit of a kickstart. As far as any price predictions on Cardano or any trade setups, very similar thing to with Bitcoin and Ethereum, guys. Right now, I would be looking at that 20 daily EMA, and if we start breaking above it, a trade setup with an entry around $1.41 to $1.42 with a conservative 5%, no more than 5% stop loss is, in my opinion, a pretty solid trade based on everything that we're seeing. But again, keep in mind, we're in a confirmed sideways market, so you will be much better off trading once we're in a confirmed upwards or downwards market, because the trend is your friend until it ends, and a sideways trend is difficult to do swing trades on. It's easy to do shorter term stuff down on the hourly chart, but I'm talking to my intraday traders who are trading for multiple days at a time. It's going to be easier for you to make those trades once we're in a confirmed trend. So, with all that said, guys, if you have enjoyed today's stream, make sure to smash that like button, consider subscribing to the channel, and hit that post notification bell so you'll be updated every time new video content comes out. And I do also want to mention that this channel is sponsored by my favorite cryptocurrency trading platform in all of crypto, and that is Bybit. Bybit is a leverage trading platform that has shorting and longing enabled, and it is a fantastic platform that we have had a ton of people sign up on, and they are loving it. If you haven't heard of Bybit, it is the leader in leverage trading here in cryptocurrency, and even if you don't use this leverage functionality, it is still one of, if not the best cryptocurrency trading platforms in the entire internet. So if you want to sign up, the link's in the description box down below. You'll be getting access to a fantastic exchange while also helping to support this channel, and we're very thankful for everyone who has done that, because you help to keep the lights on around here. So thank you.
We have one more super chat from iRock is 007. He said, "Hey everyone, how are you? What are your thoughts on BCH in general? It's super scarce like Bitcoin. Wondering if it could blow up because it's scarce. Thanks."
So, I'm doing well, by the way. Thank you. I hope you are doing well. How are you doing? Let us know, iRock. My thoughts on Bitcoin Cash. I don't like it. When I got into cryptocurrency in 2017, and we'll wrap out on this point, when I got into cryptocurrency in 2017, there was a debate going on in the cryptocurrency space about scalability. Scalability is the argument about how are we going to get Bitcoin to be able to process the number of transactions that modern credit and debit card processors based on Swift are able to. There are nearly 100,000 transactions a second going on around the world. Bitcoin can process 7. So there's a big issue there. Bitcoin Cash wanted to change the block size on Bitcoin from 1 megabyte to 8 megabytes, which would 8-fold increase the number of transactions on Bitcoin, which sounds good on paper. The problem is when you increase the block size, you increase the size of the blockchain itself, which means that it's much harder for you or me or Tim or anyone to store a history, a ledger of the blockchain on our personal devices, because all of a sudden the blockchain is 8 times larger, the file is 8 times larger, and it means that you can only store the blockchain on servers that have a lot, or computers that have much higher storage space, which means that less people are going to be able to download the Bitcoin network fully, the Bitcoin ledger fully, and be able to engage in it, which limits decentralization, because by the nature of making the blockchain larger, you're forcing smaller guys to not be able to use it in its entirety. The reason I don't like Bitcoin Cash is, one, I don't think it solves the scalability problem at all. It just kicks the can down the road by changing the block size. And two, it really doesn't help with the decentralization argument. Personally, I don't like it for that reason. And also, by the way, I do not like at all the optics and how it was launched. It was launched in a very conceited way back in 2017. The people behind it were very disrespectful to the Bitcoin community, in my humble opinion. That's kind of some crypto politics there that we might leave for another stream. I'm not a big fan of it. I think Bitcoin is far better. There's a reason that Bitcoin is worth so much more. Yes, it's scarce, but just because it's scarce doesn't mean that everything else around it is solid.
All right. Let's see. I answered in chat, but wouldn't you think Ethereum Classic is the best deal instead of regular Ethereum? I know we said we were going to close the stream, but I want to answer these super chats so that no one feels left out.
Ethereum Classic, ETH Classic is so far behind the 8 ball on adoption. Look, Ethereum is the second largest cryptocurrency in the world with a $250 billion market cap and thousands of people with a lot of money behind them trying to develop it, and they're still running into issues. Ethereum Classic is too small and too far left behind for it to ever really be able to compete with Ethereum at its own game. So that's why I'm not invested in it. I don't have anything against Ethereum Classic like I do with Bitcoin Cash. I most certainly have something against Bitcoin Cash. I don't have anything against ETH Classic. I just don't think it's capable of competing with Ethereum. So good question, but that's my take.
Also, just to dispel the misinformation that could have been taken from, I would say, guys, just because something is cheap doesn't mean it's it's a good deal. All right,
absolutely.
Because I think this is something that I know I struggled with when I first got into crypto, which was if it's really, really cheap, it will one day be where Bitcoin is. So if I get in now, I'm going to be rich later. And that's not the case for most of these coins, guys. Yeah. So you have to look at things like the supply, the market cap, all these things.
It's true.
So and also if it's going to be adopted, and like Jeb said, Ethereum Classic is not a better deal just because it's cheaper. It's worth what it's worth, and it's not worth a lot.
It's cheaper because it's a worse deal. You look at it backwards. That's how you got to look at it.
Last super chat, and then we are wrapping out. It is from Matt C. He said, "Can you label this show Jeb's hair? Love you, brother."
Sounds about right. Yeah. Well, Matt C., I'm getting a haircut today, just so you know, and I ran out of pomade, but I have some new pomade that just came in today, so I'll be able to fix my hair tomorrow. Stay tuned for that. If there's ever a reason to subscribe to a channel, it's to see some guy's hair gets fixed. So make sure you subscribe to the channel and make sure you tune in every single day. By the way, you can also follow us on social media at CryptoJeb over on Twitter and Instagram, and at CryptoJebOfficial over on TikTok. We're growing rapidly over there, and I would love to see your smiling faces over there. Guys, that's all we got for you today. If you enjoyed today's video, smash that like button. But before I go, though, I do just first want to thank each and every single last one of you for watching, as always. And I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.
Oh, I got a real good feeling.